Good morning, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to our webinar this morning. My name is Jeff Smith, and we're here in Logan, Utah. I'm getting feedback. Sorry, let me turn that off. Okay, sorry. I hope you can hear me okay. If you can hear me, please raise your hand. Good. That's good. So I see that your hands are raised. Sweet. So that's nice. Thank you. We'd like to welcome everyone from across the country, and our thoughts and prayers of those who are calling in from Texas and Florida. We've been watching the news quite a bit. We hope all is well with you in Texas, and pray for you folks in Florida and are concerned and are anxious to hear how things go. Please, as we go through this webinar, you're more than welcome to ask questions. There's a section where you can click on question and answers, and you can ask questions at any time. And Jessica's monitoring this, as well as Kelly. And Kelly, are you on? Let's check your microphone.
I'm here.
Good. All right.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so this is, again, my name is Jeffrey Smith, and Kelly Stone, our district coordinator, is on the webinar as well, and we'll be doing the talking. And so you're more than welcome to ask questions on the chat or on the question and answer, and we will try to answer them during the webinar. This webinar will be recorded, and we'll post it tomorrow. Hopefully you're able to download the slides, so you've got some notes to take. We'll also make those available as well for those who registered and weren't able to attend. So this will be a half hour, I'm hoping, and hopefully I won't stutter too much, and we'll just go ahead and move right through. But again, feel free to ask any questions, and we'll see if we can get them answered. Let's talk for a minute about the webinar we're talking about today is training substitute teachers. Let's talk for a minute about the impact in schools of little or no training of substitute teachers. We have found that with no training, there's an increase in complaints registered against substitute teachers. There's an increase in the time it takes to process new applicants and interview applicants coming on, and we'll talk a little bit about why that's the case. An increase in type 1 and type 2 errors in hiring. Now, one of my degrees was in economics, and so we studied type 1 and type 2 errors. What this is type 1 error is hiring someone that you shouldn't have hired. Type 2 is not hiring someone that you should have hired. So those are the two top. What you want to do is hire someone that you should hire, that's well qualified and would do well in the classroom. And you want to not hire somebody that you know wouldn't do well in the classroom. So there are four types, but the type 1 error is you've actually hired somebody that you shouldn't have hired that won't do well in the classroom. Type 2 error is not hiring someone that would have done really well in the classroom. So you have an increase in those errors when you have little or no training, and we'll talk about that as well. It decreases the ability for a district or organization to set expectations of those applicants, as well as to improve performance. If there's no training, there's no expectation of these substitute teachers. And so by providing training, you're setting a standard, you're setting something that you can actually evaluate and monitor. And when you're working with substitutes who are struggling, you can talk about those things that happened in the training, and so you can compare their performance or their behavior with that you talked about in the training. So there is a decreased ability to set expectations. Of course, the thing that we're always concerned about with little or no training of substitute teachers is student achievement. And so I guess our goal here at steady.org, as well as when we were on campus at Utah State University, we wanted to focus on how we can improve the learning when the permanent teacher must be gone. We know that permanent teachers need to be out of the classroom, but how can we continue the learning? How can we increase the performance of the students when the permanent teacher is out of the classroom? So that's what we focused on. That's where our research has been and what we focused on. And of course, what we have worked on for years is the training of substitute teachers. So these are some of the impacts of little or no training, and we want to reduce these and increase the opposite of these, if you will. We want to increase student achievement, so we want to impact what's happening in the schools. All right, let's talk about what training means. The training that we're talking about is the skill level of the substitute teacher. I do know that there are orientations, and those are important, where we have the substitute teachers or the applicants. We talk about the district practices, policies, and procedures. We talk about how they're going to get paid, how do they log on to the system, those types of things, and those are very, very important. We kind of categorize those as orientation, not necessarily the training. Training, we want to focus on classroom management. This is how well they perform what you've hired them to do, so that they have skills in classroom management, how they can control the class and take over a class and have the skills to be able to work with the students, whether it's 25 or 35 students in a class. They have the ability to use teaching strategies. So when a permanent teacher leaves lesson plans, they know how to pick those up and implement those. So first is to control the class. The second is actually implement the lesson plans left by the permanent teacher. Another area is being prepared and professional. When we researched what training would be effective and we surveyed administrators, that was their number one complaint or the number one request, is that we train substitute teachers to be prepared for the classroom and be professional, that they know that they're a professional and they act that way. And so this was the number one concern of administrators in training substitute teachers. Students, the ability to work with students with special needs. And so every classroom usually has students with special needs, or if there are classrooms where it's just students with special needs, we want substitute teachers to be able to take on those assignments. And so training substitute teachers on working with students with special needs is important. Then the appropriate use of fill-in activities. When we surveyed permanent teachers and asked them who their favorite substitute was and why, without exception, it was Miss So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so, because they had a resource kit, a bag of tricks, or something that they could pull out at a moment's notice, those activities that they could pull out at a moment's notice and implement them. And these are maybe 5-minute fillers. Those at the end of the class, and there's 10 minutes before the bell rings or 5 minutes before the bell rings, what do you do? And that could destroy a great experience, and all of a sudden, at the end of the day, they don't have something that they can fill in for those last 5 or 10 minutes. Or students who finish early, what do you do with them? And so they've got early finisher type activities, or if they show up to a classroom and find that there are no lesson plans, what do you do? And so that's why they're the most favorite substitute teachers, are those that can use fill-in activities appropriately at a moment's notice. And so those are the skill areas that we see are very important, that substitute teachers are trained in. Now, we do talk about all substitute teachers. There are a number in a given pool, depending on the state. Typically it's usually 2/3 of those within the pool of substitute teachers are non-certified. A third tend to be certified, meaning that they have gone and graduated from a teacher institution to become a certified teacher, whether they've actually been hired permanently and have had that experience, but at least they've been through schooling. So we find, and your district may vary a little bit from that, but we found pretty much that 1/3 are certified and 2/3 are not certified. All right, let's move on. So training opportunities, when are the best times to train? Pre-employment, this means setting expectation even prior to an application. Post-employment and pre-classroom. This means that once you've hired them and then before they actually step foot in a classroom is a time to train. And then ongoing, and I separate that a little bit because that's a little bit different. You know, the ongoing training, whether it's that first year or an annual type training or professional training throughout the year. So we expect on all these, we expect in pre-employment, let's talk a little bit about that. We expect permanent teachers to have completed all their training prior to employment. We expect our cooks in the cafeterias to have a food handler's permit. We expect our bus drivers to have a CDL license. We expect our nurses to be trained. We expect all these types of things. So it makes sense that we should expect our substitute teachers, particularly those that are non-certified, we expect them to have something to show that they have been trained. Even this is pre-employment, pre-applications to be asked on the application, in the application process, what training they've had. Now the post-employment, pre-classroom, this is where orientations may take place. This is where district-specific training might take place, and I know it's very difficult to get substitute teachers together or applicants together prior to placing them in the classroom. Some districts have a weekly orientation. Some districts have a monthly orientation. So what do you do in the in-between times to get them together, to train them? And often the time that we do spend there, that's where orientations take place, and to where maybe the most training they get is don't touch the kids, and make sure that keep your hands off and hear the legal aspects of the job, and then good luck. Well, that's where some work can be done. And then ongoing training, as I mentioned, this is once they're employed, once they've been in the classroom, and that's pretty significant because their expectations, and the research that we've shown is individuals who haven't been trained tend to have a higher efficacy, if you will, or a higher expectation that they're better than they are before they enter the classroom. And but the minute they enter the classroom, they realize what they didn't know, and so that's a challenge. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But those are the different situations where training could take place and should take place. Now let's talk about the steps of a substitute teacher might take. You're sending out invitations to come and substitute teach. You want people to consider substitute teaching, and so whatever you're doing in marketing the job, whether it's just placing it on the website and saying now hiring, or you're actually doing flyers or something, and you want to make sure that you're attracting those. But what does a substitute teacher do? Well, in pre-employment, they like to kick the tires. There are well-educated people out there that have thought about getting into the classroom. Maybe these are retired individuals or others who want to give back to their community, and so they're thinking about substitute teaching. They're kind of kicking the tires. What are you doing on your website, or what are you doing in some recruiting fairs, that type of thing, for these individuals who are kicking the tires or just looking at it? There are also those that are serious. They want to become employed, but they are now investigating. They're really reaching out and doing what they can do to become employed as a substitute teacher. Now, once they're employed, they also need to validate that they made the right decision. Sometimes they step in, they're hired, and they say, now what have I done? In many cases, those well-educated individuals, those individuals you want in the classroom, know better than to put themselves into harm's way or to put themselves in front of a classroom of 25 to 35 students without any skills. And so we need to validate their employment. We need to make sure that they feel comfortable with what they're doing. We also need to make sure they're supported because these individuals are looking for support and skill building. Once they step in the classroom, they have some issues, and they thought, gee, I hadn't thought of that. What do I go to get those answered, and what can we do? Also, specific help. Now, this might be those that might need remediation help, or I really want to do a much better job at it. I don't think I'm engaging the students well. I don't know how to pose proper questions to the students, and so those are the kind of things after they're employed they might need specific help for. So these are the steps that a substitute teacher or an applicant, an individual who wants to be a substitute teacher, might go through, and opportunities then to train substitute teachers. Now, knowing the substitute teachers that are in the pool, teachers, this is permanent teachers. There was a study that was published that said permanent teachers who feel unprepared to enter the classroom. So of 62% of certified teachers coming out of teacher college and feel unprepared to enter the classroom. Now that's certified, and those who've been through the college. What about those non-certified substitute teachers that we're hiring, that were just, they're responding to an advertisement that we've put out there for an invitation to come and apply? How prepared do they feel? And so this is a very interesting statistic, and we need to understand their hesitancy or their concerns that they might have prior to entering in the classroom. Next, in a research that when we survey, we have a number of surveys that we work with districts on, but this is pretty much nationwide. We found out that 42% of substitute teachers in your district's pool want to continue as a substitute teacher. That's a significant number. They like substitute teaching. They like the ability or the opportunity to take on assignments when they can, or not take on assignments when they can. So they like just where they are doing it. There's another 40% that want to want a permanent position within the district, that they've applied or they're looking to become employed permanently, but they're subbing in the meantime. And districts who take advantage of this can pick up applicants, and it's a good way to fill up your pool with those people who want a permanent position in your classroom, in your school. And so you add those two together, that's 82% of your current pool want to stay with the district. And that's a significant amount. Often we think substitute teachers, because it is a at-will employment, and because we tend to think it's temporary. We tend to think that these are just here today and gone tomorrow. But these statistics show that 82% want to stay with you. So any time and effort you can put into these people, the majority are going to benefit, and in the long run, your students are going to benefit from it. So it's worth taking a look at, to either require training or to provide training to these individuals, because they want to stick around. They want to be part of your district and to do a good job for the students. We're going to talk a minute about the SubSkills online training course that we offer through steady.org. This is something we developed while we were on campus at Utah State University over a number of years. We started out as the Substitute Teaching Institute at Utah State University. I was the founding director in 1995, was when we first started publishing our handbooks. And in 97, we received a grant from the U.S. Department of Education to study substitute teacher training and what was happening nationwide. And so we did quite a bit of research in coming up with what we should train substitutes on. And then we developed a course, several courses. One of them was the SubSkills course, which we offer now. In 2008, we became a spin-off organization of the university. We're still under license by the university, but we still offer the training that we developed while we were on campus. So the SubSkills is the online 8 to 10 hour course, depending on how long an individual wants to study and go through the course, and reviewing what I mentioned, as I mentioned, the classroom management, teaching strategies, professionalism, special education, and legal issues. So they also get with the SubSkills a sub-assessment. Now this is an assessment at the end of each section that will assess the understanding and the applicability of what they've learned. They won't find for example, all the questions are multiple choice, and often they look for that question and that answer specifically spelled out. Well, no, they need to understand the principle and how to apply that. That's what we're testing with that. And so we're assessing not if they'll be good in the classroom, and we're not certifying these folks. What we're doing is assessing if they understand the material presented. And that's usually, and that's what is effective, and so they understand the material that we're teaching. They also are issued a sub-diploma. This is what you can receive from these individuals to see their competency on the SubSkills course. We recommend an 85% score is a passing score. Some districts use less than that, which is fine. It's up to the district what their passing score is. For example, some districts maybe use 80% as a passing score. We found that there are only a few. They only pick up a few substitutes because they're going to get 80, they're going to get 85%. But it's high enough that they can't guess their way through. They actually have to learn, go through the training. And even most certified teachers, some districts require even their certified district substitutes to go through the training. And usually at the beginning they say, well, why do I have a teaching degree? Why should I do this? Well, at the end, they're the ones that come out and say, oh, I wish they'd have taught this in school, because it is very principle-based and skill-based. We teach them very specific skills. We can give you a demonstration at another webinar sometime if you'd like to, and you can talk to Kelly about that, but so you can actually see what's in the training. One thing that we offer is a 100% guarantee that if they don't receive a job offer by the district or organization because of their skills, then we'll refund their money for the course. Now, if they're rejected because of a background check or something else, that's not part of the guarantee. But if they actually go through the course, complete an 85%, apply, and are denied because of they're not good enough to substitute teach, then we'll refund their money. And so we guarantee that they can get a job with what they do, and that's comforting, and that's good, and it helps them feel comfortable when they go through the training. This is just one of our studies that we did. We studied self-efficacy. Now, there are a number of ways to study individuals and their effectiveness of a training, and self-efficacy is one way. Self-efficacy means my belief in my ability to perform in the classroom. So prior to employment, before, I might rate myself so confident in the classroom management construct. So we're just looking at this slide here just talks about my ability in the classroom, my perceived ability in the classroom. Well, after the training, it goes up it goes up, as you can see there. And then after they even go into the classroom, it drops naturally, but it drops only a little bit. Now, if I had a slide that shows those that have never received training, the before would probably be higher. The after would not be as high before the training and after the training. And then once they go through in the classroom, that's where it drops very significantly. They realize what they didn't know. Here, before training, they feel comfortable. After training, they feel much more confident, and then they're much higher than those that haven't received training. That's what this slide is about. What we found with those who've taken the training, and I think this is what it's talking. SubSkills online training improves a substitute teacher's self-efficacy. Post-training and mentoring will help substitute teachers maintain a high level of self-efficacy. Again, that's their belief in their ability, and that's strongly correlated. Research shows that strongly their ability, their performance in the classroom is strongly related to their ability, their belief in their ability, and that's what self-efficacy studies. All right, with the SubSkills course, this is right from the website. So an individual has an option of option A or option B. That's the SubSkills. Option A is totally online. They can see the videos, they can see the audio, hear the audio, and they can take the online assessment. Option B is they study in the handbooks. There are those individuals who don't have high-speed internet, or they're not comfortable in the online, and they would much rather have a handbook. And so they use the 9th edition Substitute Teacher Handbook. So option A or option B is the same, because they do get online and take the assessment. And so they can study the material in the handbook and pass the assessment. The premium is actually those two together. And a lot of people like to do that. They like the online version as far as seeing the videos and hearing the audio, but yet they want the printed handbook as well. Now the handbook, and I'll talk a bit about that. There's some online activities that they can download. The Ultimate has not only option A and option B together, or the premium package, but it has 3 refresher courses, 3 advanced courses along with that. And that's popular as well. The handbook and all the training is included in the handbook. We have a number of districts who like to bring substitutes together and train them, and they use the substitute teacher handbook to do that, and that's been quite effective. Of course, that's how we first started, is just the handbook, and the live training is so much fun because you can get them. We have a trainer's manual that goes with this, and you're welcome to get that and see that. But it teaches the facilitator how to have the students or the participants teach themselves in the handbook, and that's exactly what you want the substitutes to do, is to be able to be a facilitator, and so everything in the training is modeled just like you want a substitute teacher to do. There are no PowerPoints in the training because the substitute wouldn't use PowerPoint in the classroom. So the handbook is very specific on what to do. And so there is a question, is the training in A and B the same as Ultimate? Yes, the Ultimate, yes, except it does include the 3 advanced courses. I don't know if you can see those 3 buttons, 3 icons next to it. Those are advanced courses. So the SubSkills training is in part of that Ultimate, but it also has more courses as well, and additional courses as well. Here's some websites. I've got 4 minutes left before our 30 minutes. Maybe I'll click on 1 or 2 so you can see them, but these are just examples of those districts who have required training prior to employment. And this is a significant thing. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we expect our cooks to have a food handler's permit, we have a bus driver to have their CDL license and so forth. And so it's not uncommon or unexpected that you would require this prior to employment. And it doesn't matter, let's go to Boston to see this works. So this is Boston Public's website, and we hope Gwen's here. I hope you're okay, Gwen, that we're showing your website. I noticed you registered for the webinar, so we're glad you're here. But this is yours. So it talks about the minimum qualifications. It talks about the SubSkills training course and how to take it and how to get it. And again, this is expectations prior to employment. So once they do come in and apply, they've actually gone through and completed the training and bring in their certificate. And so what it does is those individuals who are kicking the tires, who are investigating substitute teaching on their own, can take the training even before Boston finds out that they're interested. And it encourages those people who you want in the classroom, because they look at the training, and when skill number 1 says that we want them to start the learning immediately, meaning have an activity on the board, they can see that, they can feel that, they can understand what that means, and they can say, I can do that. And so they're much more excited about a substitute teaching. They know what's expected of them, and they have some skills to be able to reach those expectations, and they can see themselves in the classroom doing those things that they see and learn in the training. And so it is a recruiting tool, even though it's prior employment, and it might cost them $40. And again, I know that that's in it. They have to do their fingerprinting. They have to do a number of things as well. But this is well before that. This is them learning and wanting to know. And so we found that those districts who've implemented this have never taken it away. They find that they're getting the right kind of applicant. They're say that they're having less turnover. They're wanting to work more. We found one of the benefits of training is the individuals tend to work more often than non-trained substitute teachers. And so not only are you getting the right kind of person in there, but they're working more, and that helps with fill rates significantly. So what these districts right here do, they do require it prior to employment. Now Arlington is different. They've gone ahead and purchased it on behalf of their substitute teachers. They decided we wanted to pay for the training. So they have it after the hire, but before they enter the classroom. And see, if we go to there, you can see it says at no expense to you. And so they give a coupon code and allows you then to come on and to implement that, to register without any cost to the applicant, and that's fine too. There are discounts, and I think when we're done here, Kelly will be available either by phone or by email to answer any questions. Here's a link to our website, steady.org/wording, for some wording that you can use on your website, some suggested wording that would be effective and helpful, because you want them, especially those who are looking to substitute teach, what they could do to learn and to be interested in becoming a substitute teacher. All right, one or two more slides. Where to go from here? Where to begin? We've set up a website called steady.org/administrators. You're welcome to go there. In fact, what you're going to find there are a number of things, but try it for free. This is let's go here and see what happens. All right, so here's the website. As you can see, there are resources. There's some things that you can help justify training. And so when you want to go to your administrator and say, we want to implement training, well, here's some background information to help you do that. So there's a lot of information there. But right here, this button right here, try it for free. And this will give you 5 free registrations that you can give to 5 of your substitute teachers that you can have them evaluated. We found that administrators have a hard time taking time to go through the course, but you want your substitutes anyway. So find 5 that you want to have trained and then have them give you a report back. And it's a great way to evaluate the training and to see how effective it is. And so try it for free is one thing. The other 2 things I want to point out, since our time is gone, and I apologize, but we have an annual national conference, and it's 3 days of conference for sub-managers, administrators, HR directors, assistant superintendents. Now, as you can see by the picture, I'm so excited about this, is Jackson Hole, Wyoming, one of my favorite places on earth. As a teenager, I worked up here, and I go every year, take my bicycle, or we go hiking, and this year, in fact, Saturday, we're going to ride our bikes from Logan here to Jackson, which is 206 miles. Now, I'm on a relay team, so I'm going to do the last 100 miles, but we bike right here in front of the Tetons, and one of my favorite places on earth. Anyway, next June 27th to the 29th, we're in Jackson, and you can register here, and you can also download the conference brochure so you can get your travel plans and get approval to come. But it is well worth it. For 2.5 days, all we do is talk about solutions to substitute teaching. All right, the other thing that I want to mention that we're starting this fall, every spring and fall, we do a giveaway. And so you're welcome to invite your substitute teachers to register for the giveaway. We have a number of prizes, including an Apple Watch and so forth. So here's the fall giveaway. They win an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or different things like this. It's just kind of fun. It shows our appreciation. And so just invite all your substitute teachers. There's no cost to registering, no cost to the district. We just provide the link, and Kelly can also give you some wording in email to send out to your substitute teachers. All right, I've been speaking fast and haven't given Kelly any time. Sorry. But Kelly, is there anything that you want to say or invite them to give you a call? Sorry that I haven't left you any time.
Oh, that is just fine. You've given a lot of information, and I know there's probably a lot of questions, and I hope everyone will feel free to reach out to me, call me, email me. Either way, I'll be happy to get back to you.
She is very good. She's much better than I am in following up. So she has more answers than I do. So she's the one to reach out to. There's her email address and her phone number with her extension, and be glad to answer questions. We will close this webinar, but you're more than welcome. We'll stay and answer questions on the chat or in the question Q&A section. Again, we appreciate your attendance here today, and we hope that you've learned something. May I encourage you then to go to steady.org/administrators and try it for free for those that want to take a look at the training. So again, thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to pause the screen and I won't close it in case you want to answer questions, but thanks again for attending.